With the evolution of agriculture, with the human race, human development, agriculture has changed a bit. Initially, it was primitive agriculture, then conventional agriculture, what we faced, green revolution, and at that phase, when there was a boost in agriculture sector. So at that time, green revolution came in 1960s and 70s. Then certainly agriculture has evolved or changed or modified a bit to sustain. Now we are more into quality aspect than quantity aspect. Now we do not need more production, huge explosion in production, but rather now we want to sustain our ecosystem, sustain our agriculture ecosystem more specifically. So there are some kind of changes in agriculture sector like natural farming, now zero budget natural farming. Then we have organic farming, we have a conservation agriculture, right? These terms are now heard more oftenly because we want our ecosystem, our agriculture ecosystem, or wherever we live, that is our ecosystem, that is our ecology. We want to sustain our ecosystem or ecology. So how we can sustain it? So there are different options. In this particular video, I want to tell you some basic concepts about all these terms like natural farming, zero budget natural farming, organic farming, then conservation agriculture. What are the differences among them before going in depth about natural farming, zero budget natural farming, organic farming, conservation agriculture? Why this modification took place? Okay, why all this modification took place in agriculture? Agriculture was fine. We have experienced green revolution. Then why suddenly the sustainable word came into existence? Why organic farming was needed? Why conservation agriculture was needed? So let's talk one by one. So initially what happened? Before 1960s, what happened? A population explosion was huge, but the production, the per unit production economic output was quite less. So we could not feed all the population, so we faced malnourishment, we faced food insecurity, right? Then the great scientist, the wheat breeder Norman Borlaug, he actually developed certain varieties, certain hybrids of wheat. There were genes like Norrin genes, which has a tremendous impact on wheat productivity. Reduced the plant height. Wheat plant became more vigorous and they were more responsive to fertilizer application. So green revolution came into existence due to these responsive varieties, responsive hybrids of wheat, rice, etc. After that, what happened? People indiscriminately started using the agrochemicals more, mostly the fertilizers, mostly then the pesticides, the agrochemicals. What are the agrochemicals? Like fertilizer, pesticides, herbicide, etc. So people indiscriminately started using these agrochemicals. So what happened? Our soil health as well as the environmental quality got degraded. So then in our policy level, the scientific level, scientific team, they talked about these alternatives. So how we can produce with certain changes, how we can reduce this agrochemical input. So then the words like natural farming came into existence. Natural farming actually happened just after Green Revolution. Then Masanobu Fukuoka, one farmer, he emphasized on natural farming. His book was One Straw Revolution. He published that book during 1975, and there he mentioned what are the negative impact of this green revolution, this use of heavy machinery and continuous plowing, etc. So Masanobu Fukuoka was considered as the father of natural farming. So natural farming is basically based on the principle of do nothing approach. You do not need to do anything for crop husbandry to raise a crop. You just sow the seed on the land, on fertile land, then you just leave it as it is. So whatever you reap, that is from nature. That is the main principle of natural farming. Then now certainly in India, one farmer from Maharashtra, Subhas Palekar, he got Padma Shri Award. He emphasized on modification of natural farming. Of what he did, he focused on whatever agriculture practice we do, that should be on locally available materials like cow dung or maybe plant-based nutrients, plant-based pest management or weed management should be plant-based, right? So he basically focused on locally available materials that we can use for our pest control, for our disease control, and for our nutrient perspective also. That is zero budget natural farming. Okay, because we are using locally available material, locally available resources that we are generally throwing outside, right? That we are using to control, to prevent the disease infestation, to prevent pest attack, to feed nutrient to the plants, right? Locally available. Remember, this is zero budget natural farming. This is the modification of natural farming that was proposed by Masanobu Fukuoka. Then organic farming. What is organic farming? Basically, after using indiscriminately the agrochemicals, we feel that our ecology, the crop ecology, whatever, or our ecosystem, it is being polluted recently. So we are trying to exclude the agrochemicals what we are being used in our agriculture system, and we are trying to use organic inputs. What are the organic inputs? Like manures, like crop residues, like panchagabya kind of thing. So these are organic produce. So we are basically in organic farming. What we are doing, we are basically focused on organic input in crop husbandry. We are basically using organic input. Then conservation agriculture. When conservation agriculture evolved, it was evolved way back during that 1980s. Okay, at that time what happened? There were rigorous, plowing and tilling operation in America. At that time, what happened? The oil price rise so high that they switched to conservation agriculture approach. And what are the drawback? What were the drawback before that oil price hike? There were soil erosion, because they were tilling the soil, both primary and secondary tillage were done, and they were using heavy implements. So the soil structure got broken, the soil structure degraded, and soil erosion was prominent at that time. So scientists from USA and all the countries of America, they gathered and they thought to go for conservation agriculture. So what are the principles of conservation agriculture? That is minimum soil disturbance, permanent soil cover, and diversified crop rotation. What are the principles? Minimum soil disturbance. So we should disturb the soil to the minimum, whatever minimum we can. Okay. Then permanent soil cover. We are keeping at least 30% of residue on the land, so that it will encourage that soil, so that the erosion process will be slowed down, right? Then adding organic matter, because crop residue, as we are leaving crop residues in soil, so that will also add some organic matter or in nutrient to the soil. Then diversified crop rotation. What do you mean by diversified crop rotation? Because whenever we are going for single crop like cereal cropping system, or maybe pulses cropping system, there is certainly a nutrient imbalance happen. What happens? Cereal generally they tend to accumulate more nitrogen, potassium, etc. But if we rotate the crops, we diversify the crop rotation. Okay, if we go for pulses after cereals, or maybe rotation of that, then what happens? There is different nutrient uptake, right? Differential nutrient uptake, so that there will be sufficient time to nutrient cycling happens in soil. So if we give some time to the soil to adjust that cycle, that nutrient cycle, then we can sustain the soil fertility. So this was basically the conservation agriculture approach, and there are certain conservation agriculture practices like zero tillage, minimum tillage, row zone tillage, plow plant cultivation, stubble mulch farming. These are certain kind of conservation agriculture. So if we see conservation agriculture area, it's around 10 to 12% of total cultivated area, and mostly in South and North America they are mostly doing conservation agriculture practice, right? In India also, if questions may be asked in India, what is the cropping system where, and what is the region where conservation agriculture is mostly practiced. So you have to answer the rice wheat cropping system where conservation agriculture is or conservation tillage is mostly practiced, and that is in Indo-Gangetic plain area like Punjab, Haryana there, because after using the agrochemicals and after using the primary tillage and secondary tillage, intensive cultivation, there also we find multi-nutrient deficiencies, then degradation of soil structure, reduction of partial factor productivity, nutrient imbalance, etc. So now we are recommending that you just go for zero till quit seeding, right? So what we have learned from this lesson, that all these agriculture aspects, what are the modified agricultural aspects like natural farming, zero budget natural farming, organic farming, conservation agriculture, this came after the negative feedback of green revolution, right? Post green revolution technology problems. There are certain post green revolution technology problems like nutrient deficiency, yield plateau, then soil structure, soil health deterioration, then ecological imbalance, right? Ecological degradation, so ecological pollution, ecological degradation, etc. So to minimize these impacts, the impacts of agrochemicals, we generally practice natural farming. We generally went for zero budget natural farming. We generally went for organic farming. Yes. Another question, important question is, which among the following is the first organic state in India? That is Sikkim. Okay. After Sikkim, now Lakshadweep, that is the first union territory. Okay, Lakshadweep is the first union territory being fully organic. Okay, which country is first fully organic country? Then you can find somewhere it is Estonia, somewhere it is Bhutan. That is a misnomer, so you can find it, rather go for a trusted source, right? So we talked a bit about everything, like what is natural farming, what is zero budget natural farming, what is conservation agriculture, what is organic farming. So this is a brief idea on this. On this, we'll do some separate lectures where we'll discuss one by one with detailed information. So stay tuned with our channel, subscribe to our channel, and share our lectures with other colleagues, with other friends and colleagues, so that they will also get benefited. See you in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye. Have a great day.